We could turn the tide of something sometimes in our own strength and our own power. But we can't always do that. In fact, the better way is to stand firm in the Lord. To trust Him in that situation, that no matter what's coming at us, we can stand our ground. So when a sickness comes into your life, or death of a loved one that you cherished, you can stand firm. Because God is there in your camp, holding you up. When a relationship goes south or sour, or our financial situation around us crumbles, we can stand firm and trust God that His will and His purpose in our lives will be accomplished. We can stand firm even when success comes into our lives. And victory, do you realize one of the best ways to ruin a person is for them to be successful? If you don't believe that, look at a history of those who have won the lottery. They're worse off after they've won the lottery than they were before. And about 80-something% of them stand firm even in the successes of life. We can do that through Christ. And Paul admonishes the church of Philippi, and he challenges us today through his word to stand firm. I don't know what it is you're going against in your life. And sometimes it's easier just to pack up and run, isn't it? It's easier to just to say, okay, I'm not even going to fight that battle. I'm just going to walk away. But Paul says to stand firm. Stay and fight. Stand firm. The next thing he tells him in verses 2 and 3 is harmony. See, probably this is something that's going on in the first verse is to stand firm. It's probably not necessarily a doctrinal issue, but it's interrelationships. And because we see in the verses 2 and 3, he adds into this whole element two ladies, an unknown person, and then a man. So there was something going on within this body of believers that it wasn't doctrinal. It wasn't what they believed about certain things. It was about relationships. So he says, I urge Euodia and I urge Syntyche to live in harmony in the Lord. Indeed, true companion is probably an elder. We're not sure, but there's somebody he's writing to specifically. I ask you also to help these women who have shared my struggle in the cause of the gospel, together with Clement also, and the rest of my fellow workers whose names are in the book of life. Paul has heard, coming to him, that there were two ladies that were prominent in the church that were having an issue. We don't know what it was. It could have been who had the best casserole on Sunday afternoon. We don't know. Probably wasn't. Some kind of personal conflict had come into place. And they're battling one another. And it's causing not only a problem with them, but it's intermixed to the church. Basically what has happened is probably Euodia, she thinks, well, you know what? I think I'll get my side. And Syntyche goes over and gets her side. So now it's not just them going at one another. It's everybody brought into this situation. These are two girls, two women. And I find it interesting that in the midst of all of this, that Paul addresses two women. Now he's got dual citizenship. He's a Hebrew, but he's also a Roman citizen. And so it's interesting that in Philippi, which is a Roman colony in Macedonia, surrounded by all the Greek culture, he addresses women. Because if you look in Corinth, what does he say about women? Women are to be silent in the church. In Greek culture and in Hebrew culture, women had no rights. They were always in the background. They were always kind of alluded to but never directly spoken to. Now, I thank God that we're not that way, even though there's times I wish it were. But the greatest wisdom in the things that come into my life is because God has blessed me with a wise woman in my life. Someone that overlooks the faults that I have, always trying to improve those. She is, really, she is. always trying to make me a better husband, a better father, a better person, a better pastor. In fact, this morning as we were standing and she came in, she looked at me and she goes, "Tuck your shirt in." I said, "Thank you, Mom." Always striving to make it. But in Roman culture, in this colony, in the midst of the Hellenistic world that was around it, Paul addresses two women. And they were important in the church. They had a role in the church. And so he addresses them and he's saying what's going on is tearing the church apart. I don't know about you, but I've been involved in church conflict. It's never fun. It's never fun. It gets painful. People are hurt. All the kind of things that go on. And so Paul tells them this. He says, live in harmony in the Lord. The key to living in harmony is not your way, my way. It's in the Lord. When we have that thing uniting us, that person uniting us, we can stand even though we may differ. I will make a confession here. One of my favorite bands growing up, and I still listen to them today, just sing Christian words with it. Yeah, that's what I do. Is the Eagles. I love the Eagles. Anybody else here like the Eagles? And when they got back together, that was like, yes, yes, that's so cool. And one of the reasons why I love the Eagles is that 4-part, 5-part harmony. You ever heard it? There's a song that they sing that they go a cappella. It's called Seven Bridges Road. And you can hear every part of that 5-part harmony. All 5 of them are singing a different note, but they're all in harmony with one another. And it's absolutely beautiful. Harmony. Everybody doing their part, working together as a team, accomplishing great things. Seth was at the AAU tournament, and you could tell those teams that had been together for a year, and you could tell the difference between a team that had been together 3 years. Most of the teams at this event had been together at least 3 years playing together. They knew where the other person was without even looking. And they were used to the team concept. And so here we are, our team, the Noise, trying to play catch-up all week long. Because we had just been together for less than a year, and we're still trying to discover our identity and who we are as a team. They all worked in harmony. It was amazing, the things that they would do as a team. 10-year-olds, I was just sitting there stunned. They'd make a pass, and I was like, man, I couldn't even make that one in college. Amazing things when they worked together as a team, when they were in harmony, when they were in sync with one another. Following underneath one vision, and that's in the Lord. It's amazing what we can do. It's amazing what Philippi could do if these two ladies would get their act together. He calls upon an elder and a person by the name of Clement to help him. But you can see a little bit about Paul in this situation. Look at the words urge. Paul is pleading and begging. It's almost a picture that he's on his knees saying, please, 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 get along, because you're destroying the integrity of the church and the witness that it has to the world. The amazing thing is the world knows more about what's going on when there's conflict in a church than the church does. He uses such a strong word. And part of the reason why is these women shared in his struggle and the cause of the gospel.